Hello, I'm Jessica Weifel, and I would like to welcome you to the introductory video for the Schiepjes Festival of Lights Crochet Along. I am so excited and incredibly honored to be introducing my own pattern for this year's final Schiepjes Crochet Along. In this video, I'm going to tell you about the kits and materials, how to use the color charts, some tips for staying organized, and a little bit about my inspiration and design process. If you would like to skip ahead to specific information or want to rewatch a specific section, you can use the chapters. Most of this information is also available on my blog, and all relevant links will be in the description. Schiepjes has made two beautiful official kits for this cal of Schiepjes Metropolis and Organicon yarns. The Metropolis kit contains a Metropolis color pack and two 50-gram balls of Metropolis for joining and borders. The Organicon kit contains 26 50-gram balls of Organicon 100% organic soft cotton. Both kits contain a set of 3 beautiful postcards and a special edition Schiepjes cal mug. For either kit, you will need a 3mm crochet hook, as well as a tapestry needle for needle joining and sewing in ends, and some scissors or something to cut your yarn. If you haven't already, I highly recommend that you join the Schiepjes Facebook group. The groups are incredibly friendly and supportive, and there you can share progress photos, get inspiration, and ask for any help that you need. I have made video tutorials for each section of the pattern that will be released with each part and available on my YouTube channel. You can subscribe to my channel and turn on notifications to be notified when each video is released. Videos for both UK and US terms will be available. Supplementary photos for each section of the pattern and tips and tricks for each part will also be available on my blog. The pattern will be released as a weekly, written-only PDF, released on Wednesdays at noon GMT, starting the 16th of October 2024 and running through the 4th of December 2024. You can access these from the official Schiepjes Facebook groups or via the Schiepjes website. I will be providing video support and posting weekly tips and photos to supplement the pattern. One of my favorite parts of publishing patterns is seeing all the interesting colorways that people come up with to make it their own, so please feel free to let your creativity run wild on color placement, even if you are using a kit. I have made a PDF color sheet for you to use to try out different color arrangements if you are going to get creative with your kit, or to help planning what colors you want to use if you are making your own colorway. Along with the pattern, each kit will have a color placement table listing the required color number per round for each motif. When a motif is completed, I recommend marking it as completed on your color placement table and labeling the motif by pinning a piece of paper with the motif number to the motif. You may also wish to color in the motif on the schematic to visually track your progress. To assist, I have made printable PDF labels for you to use. I recommend cutting each group of labels and cutting between each label, but leaving them attached until needed so that they are easy to find. When a label is needed, it can easily be found and detached to pin to the motif. Once you are comfortable with the pattern, using an assembly line method to get through all those motifs can speed things up quite a bit. This means working the first round a bunch of times, and then the second, and then so on. Here's how I like to do it for this pattern. First, decide how large of a batch to work at once. This can be all of the motifs of a particular type, or smaller groups of 5 to 10. Larger batches can be more efficient, but may be less enjoyable because they are more repetitive and progress is less visible. Play with the size of batches until you figure out what you prefer. Next, pin the motif labels to the ball bands of the yarn used for the first round. Once the round is complete, pin the label to the motif. The partial motifs can be put aside until some or all of the round ones are completed. Pin the partial motifs to the next round, just like the labels for round 1. Repeat this until all motifs are complete. I find that this method is great for keeping track of color placement without constantly having to refer to the color placement table. Once the labels are pinned to the yarn, they can be tossed in a basket or a bag to crochet in my favorite place or taken with me. This system is also flexible. If a round gets boring, take the finished partial motifs and pin them to the next round colors and start working on those, or even switch between them. For this project, we will not be making a specific gauge swatch. Instead, we will crochet the first motif and measure it before adjusting. For each motif, measurements for gauge will be given with the pattern. I also wanted to talk about gauge more generally before we get started, as it can be a point of anxiety for some when starting a large project. Overall, here are my recommendations regarding tension. 1. Read up on the golden loop. Esther of It's All in a Nutshell has a fantastic blog post and video talking about the golden loop. 2. Find a hook that gives you results that are close enough. It is more important to have pieces that lay flat and are consistent and fit together than matching the exact gauge, so don't stress if you are a little bit small or a little bit larger than actual gauge if those goals are achieved. 3. Aim for consistency. Regardless of how close to the actual gauge you are, strive for consistency. I like to keep my first motif with me when making subsequent motifs. Then I can occasionally compare to see if they are similar. This doesn't have to be perfect, as crochet has a little stretch and blocking will help. 4. Compare fit. For each motif, dimensions will be given, and after the first one, I will provide a comparison of how this should compare to the other motifs. This blanket is composed of motifs of various shapes. Thus, relative sizes of the pieces is important for the blanket to fit together correctly. For example, one square should be about the size of 2 triangles put together. If the relative sizes are wildly different, then there are going to be fit issues. 5. Try not to stress too much. I find that a lot of things affect my attention. For example, squares I made when anxious are noticeably smaller than the ones I made while relaxing. However, they aren't different enough to cause a problem, and blocking again is going to take care of small differences. The last thing to talk about with gauge is yarn usage. Larger motifs use up more yarn, however both kits have a bit of a buffer. The Organicon kit has a substantial buffer, and the Metropolis kit has about a 15% buffer. If you do run out of a particular color, I would recommend that you put that motif to the side. Some colors will have more remaining than others, so you may be able to use the leftovers of a similar color. This pattern has a lot of ends. Here are some tips to make them less overwhelming. Weave in the ends as you go. Take a moment when finishing each motif, or at least every few motifs, to take care of the ends before moving on. This will make the task significantly less daunting. Even if you like to save your ends for the end, at very least I recommend weaving in all the ends before we get to the join so that they aren't in the way. Whenever possible, crochet over the ends. To crochet over the ends from the prior round, I take a moment to weave in the ends in a few places along the back loops when I finish a round. This makes it easy to work over the ends when the next round is crocheted. The ends can be woven through every back loop along the row, just a couple, or even just held in place. If the ends are making it harder for you to see the stitches, try weaving through every back loop or only one back loop. I like to crochet over my ends whenever possible. However, there are a few places when you should not crochet over your ends. I will provide recommendations on how to deal with the ends for each round on both my blog and in my video tutorials. I started designing this blanket in the fall of 2021 after visiting some family and attending the Albuquerque International Balloon Fiesta. I was inspired by the hundreds of colorful hot air balloons and the quilts of a loved one who is often in my thoughts. Going to the balloon fiesta, we arrived before sunset in plenty of time to see the dawn patrol. As the sun comes up, hundreds of other balloons start to inflate and launch as you walk between and below them. It is hard to capture in photographs just how many balloons are all around you. When we go to the balloon fiesta, we stay with family, and I get to see the blankets and quilts made by my mother-in-law. She was a wonderful and talented person. I was inspired by the hot air balloons, but only when I thought of my mother-in-law's quilts did the idea for this blanket form. I like to think of this blanket as a celebration of the light brought into our lives by the people that we love. During this crochet along, I hope that each of us will find our own reasons to celebrate and share the love with our amazing crafting community. I am so excited to finally be able to share this project with you all. This blanket was designed with love while dreaming big, and I am still a little shocked that I have designed a Skypja's crochet along. Thank you so much for joining me on this crochet along. I look forward to seeing all your progress. Please be sure to share in the Skypja's Facebook group or on Instagram with the hashtag Festival of Lights Cal. And if you have made it this far, I would really appreciate it if you would subscribe to my YouTube channel. I would like to reach 1,000 subscribers so that I might benefit a small bit from any ads you had to watch during this video.